What's the nerdrotic got for us now? It's the end of woke Hollywood as we know it, and I feel fine. Well, let's hear what he's got to say about it. Should be interesting. Get over to Nerdrotic and subscribe. Tell him Tyrone Magnus sent you.
My name is Margaret. I am SAG aftra, and I'm a background actor.
This is the tale of Margaret E. Owens of Philadelphia, background actor. Once upon a time, in a land where dreams came to life, there lived a talented soul named Margaret. She toiled tirelessly, day after day, spending countless hours on a magical set, bathed in the soft glow of the spotlight.
Sorry, do I know you?
So now that I'm standing in front of you, you have nothing to add?
I didn't say anything.
So you didn't just call me a fat ass as I jogged by? There's no one around.
I'm telling you, I didn't say a word.
You're not that skinny anyway. Keep running.
Yet, amidst all the enchantment, she received no credit for her tireless efforts.
I'm lucky I have a 9-to-5 job that I can fall back on, but truly, this is my passion and I can't do it.
Well, boo f***ing who?
nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 549,000 awakening wonders in the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. It has been, at time of recording, 131 days since the Writers Guild of America went on strike.
It's a long strike.
8 days since the Film Actors Guild has gone on strike. Let's see how things are going.
Big news from Hollywood. Late night shows and Saturday Night Live are going dark.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon.
I'm Stephen Colbert. I'm Jimmy Kimmel. I thought when you said Jimmy, you meant me, Jimmy, but you meant Jimmy.
I always mean you.
But when you
I
say
always mean
Seth Meyers, who do you mean?
What was she originally reacting
It's
to?
the five of us together for maybe an hour a day.
Oh, somebody kill me, please!
Efforts at damage control are on over at The Tonight Show after a devastating article claimed that host Jimmy Fallon has created a toxic workplace.
Some former employees even claimed there were so-called crying rooms where staffers would sit and weep. Others claimed their hair was thinning and even suicidal thoughts due to the stress of working for Fallon.
I need my writers. I need them real bad.
Mila Kunis describes Masterson, a convicted rapist, as having a caring nature and says he is an outstanding role model.
Oof. We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims.
But after weeks on the picket line, the strike is taking its toll.
This is the first month since I moved out here that I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent this month.
What about food, gas, all those things you have to get through the day?
I was hearing a lot of actors and people, small-time actors and, people that just, their own set designers and, people that deal with the microphones and everything. It's just like so many people are like out of work right now. That's a damn shame.
Things are really hard right now. Things are really dire.
I don't think I'm going out on a limb here by saying things aren't going so well for woke Hollywood, and we're seeing it break up right before our eyes, and this may come as a surprise to everyone working in Tinseltown, although it shouldn't. There's a lot of people who either don't care or who are enjoying the hell out of this.
The LA Times came out with a poll and it showed that not a lot of people are really thinking about that. I think it was only like 38% of respondents say they sympathize more with the striking actors and writers.
People are struggling to make their bills, to keep their lights on. I mean, the way the economy is.
I was about to say, is that Dean Cain? Here's my thing. Like I told you, I know people in the industry, and, a lot of people don't care because of everything that they're feeding us anyway. It's kind of like you're forcing all this garbage on us in the media, everything from video games to comic books to movies, television shows, music videos. It doesn't matter. But so they're kind of like, well, we really don't care that they're in chaos right now because the majority of us don't want this type of entertainment anyway. It's like, okay. But at the same time, there's a lot of good people that do, work in the entertainment business, and I know several of them, and it's a shame that the good ones are going through this. Unfortunately, the big machine is what has been, spitting out a lot of the stuff that people just don't want, so they're paying for the choices of the more powerful people in Hollywood. You get what I'm saying?
even though you keep hearing from this administration how strong and wonderful everything is, people aren't feeling that. Inflation's through the roof, and so people don't care as much about, striking writers and striking actors. It's about number 74 on their list of 75 things. I don't think you're going to get a big public outcry supporting this.
Again, most human beings on planet Earth could care less about the WGA or the film actors.
Yeah, at the same time, it's entertainment. So with people struggling now, it's kind of like, well, it's entertainment. It's not. The entertainment isn't exactly essential for you to live. So, yeah, people are going to care about things that are more essential for them to, move along in life.
Guild strikes, and that should shake the entire entertainment industry to its core. But there are some who have broken out the marshmallows and they're roasting them on the Hollywood Inferno. The strikes are just the latest of the self-inflicted wounds, including but not limited to Hollywood abandoning viable revenue streams like licensing, physical media, and the theaters, so they could go all in on the new Silicon Valley / Netflix tech model of fake it till you make it until they found out they couldn't make it. The streaming bubble burst, and now the entertainment capital of the world is dealing with a little shrinkage, and they're not taking it too well. Woke Hollywood is starting to eat itself, and it's glorious. But how could you say that? People are losing their jobs.
Who the hell is that?
To the good people in Hollywood and the innocent parties who have nothing to do with the culture war, my heart goes out to you. Unfortunately, the face of your industry, the producers, the writers, and the adult pretenders, seems to hate the customer. That's the perception, and therefore, that's the reality. And
See? The good people are paying for what the controlling voices are doing.
It's not like we haven't been warning you that this was coming for years.
I have told you guys several times. Many of you know that I'm an actor, and I was an actor before I was a YouTuber. And, the big goal was always to go mainstream acting. And then, of course, do the big stuff. Do the movies that, like superhero movies or action movies, comedy movies, stuff that I would really have a lot of fun doing. And, they tell you sometimes, it's like, sometimes things don't happen when you want them to, because, it's better that you're not involved at that time, or maybe there's something else for you, or whatever it is. Even the voice acting that I do. It's like, do you know how sad I would be if I had actually made it mainstream, like, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, and be like under contract with these companies where I have to put out this garbage that we've been watching, and I can't really do nothing about it because I can't speak out on it because, my contract says that I can't. Or I can't pull out, or I owe them money, and all this other stuff. Like, I would be heartbroken as an actor, especially if I'd made it and I was in superhero movies or something like that, or just doing everything I wanted to do. And all of a sudden they're taking this dark turn, and, everybody's hating the movies or shows or whatever it is that I'm doing, any voiceover, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, YouTube allows me to pretty much have my own voice and speak about what I want to speak about, but like, oh my God. And then you got a strike with thing. I walked the picket line and all that. Oh my goodness. It would just be hell. You know what I'm saying? So until things shape up, I am really not shooting to go mainstream whatsoever. I am just looking to grow my YouTube channel and maybe be on other platforms doing things and starting other side businesses. And I've got, I've got investments and stuff like that. I'm all right for now, but it's just one of those things where it's like, God, what if I had made it? Man, I'd be, oh my God. Because it's like, unless you're somebody like Tom Cruise that can pull all the strings you want to pull and make the movies you want, that's it. Yeah, this is what you got to do. tap dance, no. So, anyway.
We tried to warn you that demonizing half of the country because they supported a president, a guy Hollywood used to love, wasn't a good idea. We tried to warn you that rooting on the Summer of Love, which was cities in America burning, probably wasn't a good idea. One or two of us might have pointed out that allowing activists who don't like things like capitalism into your companies might not be very good for an industry that needs to make money. And I'm pretty sure a few people brought up that allowing that activist wolf in the door would lead to things like DEI or quotas and rules on your awards that limits things like creativity, which in turn leads to things like subverting and vandalizing beloved properties that used to make you money. And I seem to recall millions of people pointing out that maybe it's not the best idea to root on things like authoritarianism, especially when people just wanted to go to work and save their homes.
No, screw your freedom.
Wear a mask, social distance. If you can't do that, I don't have much respect for it.
And yes, we are doing it maskless. Think of this as a movie set. An Oscars movie with a cast of over 200 nominees. So, just like on a movie set, when we're rolling, masks off.
And now we have Hollywood actors and writers concerned about losing their jobs and losing their homes. No, they really couldn't have written a better script. From the Hollywood Reporter, record number of Hollywood workers facing evictions, seeking rent assistance amid strikes.
I was literally just talking in the car to Scarlo about this. I'm like, yo. It's like all you can do is independence. I guess if you got a good thing going with independence, you're fine. But, independent doesn't really pay well, so, damn.
Actors, writers, and crew members are being hit by both the work stoppage and the end to the COVID tenant protections, as MPTF President Bob Beitcher says we're talking to people who are living in their cars and in some cases with their families. I think this is a good time to point out once again that Hollywood was considered essential by the state of California during COVID when millions of people, including my wife, were not. For those of you who are new to the channel, thanks to the COVID policies of Mayor London Breed of San Francisco and Governor Gavin Newsom of California, my wife was forced to shut down her very successful salon of 15 years forever. Anyway, back to the article. 4 months into the writer's strike and almost 2 months into the Film Actors Guild strike, the fear of industry workers losing their apartments and homes due to the work stoppage has become an increasingly looming threat. A work stoppage that both the Writers Guild of America and the Film Actors Guild voted to approve. In July, Deadline published a story with quotes from an anonymous studio exec saying the game plan was to let strikes drag on until union members were losing their housing. And at a recent event, entertainment community fundraiser Annette Benning confirmed that this is indeed happening. For many non-celebrity actors, the strikes have been financially ruinous. The strike has had a massive impact on my housing situation. I worked one day in May, and since then, all work has stopped. Actor David Bach told The Hollywood Reporter, I've almost depleted my entire savings, and I haven't been able to pay my rent in the last few months. My building manager and property owners extended me a grace period due to the good social credit I have built up by doing some gardening and landscaping in our building's common area. Noble. However, in early August, I received an eviction notice from the building management company taped to my front door. Now, maybe David Bach forgot to mention it, or maybe he didn't want to mention it for the narrative, but I didn't hear anything about looking for another job, or taking on some gig work like Uber Eats, or Uber for a side hustle. Admitting it's downright humbling as an adult to come to find you've reached the limit of your own self-sufficiency and that it's time to ask for help. He applied to the Film Actors Guild Foundation's aid program and quickly received a check for the month's rent. Why do you need to apply? They're the ones who decide.
When I'm watching this, this is the reason why it's important to invest in yourself. Robert Kiyosaki, a lot of rich people, he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, he talks about paying yourself first. So you invest your money first, then you do all the other things that you want to do. That's what paying yourself first is. That means, so if you have retirement, 401k, You have Roth IRAs, you have your stocks, you have your crypto, all these different things, real estate, all this other stuff that you can pay into to set yourself up. Especially you can do it automatically. You can set things up to be taken out of your checks automatically. And most of the time you don't miss it, especially if you do it right and you're budgeting right and you know, living within your means. Below your means it's perfect. You live below your means. So, you know, say you make $5,000 a month, but you live off of, you know, $2,000. That's good. That's how you want to do it. You don't want to make $5,000 a month and spend $5,000 a month. That's horrible. That's terrible. You'll never get out of the rat race. You'll never be able to build your wealth doing that. So you live below your means. I mean, you start making a lot of money. Don't start flossing it and, you know what I mean, showing everybody what you got and all that. Like I said, you show billionaires. They show you billionaires on, like, Instagram or whatever, like, and the broke dude, you know, and the billionaires wearing the $5 Walmart belt with the $10 Kmart pants and $5, you know what I mean, Kohl's shirt with the $25, you know what I mean, sneakers, you know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the poor dude's got the $300 Gucci belt on and all this other garbage. You've got to pay yourself first. No matter whether you're an actor, a YouTuber, whoever you are, doesn't matter. In corporate America, blue collar, doesn't matter. You got to pay yourself first. Because when you're paying yourself first, you are taking care of yourself for that possible tumultuous future. You know what I mean? Sometimes when these businesses dry up, something bad happens, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? So that was one thing. I'll tell you, when I was living in the studio apartment where I started my channel, where the channel blew up, and I eventually moved out because I was tired of paying the rent. I felt like I was just like, and people have different views on this, but I felt like I wasn't paying toward anything that I could own. So that's why I got the house. However, there was a point where I was doing very well financially there, and this chick that I was messing with was like, if you're making so much, she's like, can I ask you a question? And I knew she was going to ask me something stupid because I know her, and I knew that she wasn't thinking on the level that I was thinking on at that time. And she was like, can I ask you a question? I'm talking like that because that's how she said it. She was irritated with me, and which made me irritated with her. So she's like, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, what? Because I knew it was going to be dumb. You make so much money. Why are you still living here? And I was like, oh, here we go. They're dealing with somebody ignorant. Okay, let me explain something to you. The majority of wealthy people and millionaires especially, millionaires on this planet are people you would never suspect. They live in studio apartments and modest homes and regular apartments because they are living below their means. That's how they made their millions, through investing, living modestly, below their means, not flossing so everybody thought they were rich, or trying to look like their favorite football player, basketball player, singer, celebrity, actor, whoever it is. They weren't trying to do that. Okay, so these are the people that, when they are taking care of themselves first and investing wisely and have the patience, okay, it's called delayed gratification. If you can delay that gratification, which is hard, I understand that. I get it. You want that new car. You want those new sneaks right away. But if you can delay that, you will set your future up very well and perfectly. So when all these markets crash and all these businesses crash and all this stuff happens, you're doing fine. You might have some stuff that crashes too. But if you plan your future properly, you're fine. A lot of times you get on YouTube or you get a high-paying job, you're doing this and that. You see these YouTubers. Some of these YouTubers live crazy, man. and they're not planning for the future. They're just buying this and buying that. And then when some of them ain't even paying their taxes, and they don't even know that they got to pay taxes. Just because you're not getting a check where they're taking your taxes out, don't mean you don't have to pay taxes. You got to pay taxes. So keep this in mind. You set your future up right, as hard as it may be. I get it. You do what you got to do while you're struggling. But if you're setting yourself up right, like I think I forgot who I was watching. I think I was watching Elgin Intensity, and he was like saying, like, you know, he was talking about somebody who lost their YouTube channel, and you know, if you watch him, you know, it's very dry humor, but he's really funny. And he's basically saying, he's like, you know, if you have a YouTube channel and you're not planning your like exit strategy or planning, you know, investing or whatever it is he was saying, he was like, then you're stupid. But he's, you know, that's a hard way of saying it, but he's right. You always have to be planning for your future, for your exit strategy, or putting your money into other businesses, or so that you are okay, just in case your rise of stardom in YouTube falls. You don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Had to go on strike, and a lot of their members need to pay rent and mortgages. You think the union would have had that all worked out since they're the ones who decided to go on strike, but quite frankly, I don't know how unions operate, because in any of my previous careers, when I had a chance to join one, I didn't. For precisely these reasons. Listen, I want this guy to be able to pay his rent. I'm not rooting for the producers or the studios or the actors or the writers. I'm coming at this from a customer perspective. And I have to ask, is this all bullshit? We're not talking about an industry that's known for its candor. And despite the fact that the WGA and the Film Actors Guild are constantly talking about their unity and claiming they're just around the corner from total victory, we also have articles like this from the Hollywood Reporter. Majority of Americans support writers, actors over studios and strikes. Gallup poll finds union support remains high among Americans as more than 70% side with the writers. You don't say. That sounds impressive, doesn't it? Except when you hear this. The Gallup poll was conducted via telephone interviews in August with a random sample of just over 1,000 adults living in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Well, I ran a little poll of my own on Twitter back on August 11th, and I asked, do you care about the Hollywood strike? 3.2% said yes, hurry back. 96.8% said no, stay on strike. By the way, that poll received 12,909 votes. And now the unions want to divide and conquer by trying to break up the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. And to be fair, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers are trying to break up the unions. And I'm for all of them breaking up. Quite frankly, neither side has looked very good to this point, and the AMPTP, or the Armpit as I like to call them, has also hired a prominent Washington, D.C.-based crisis PR firm to help with its messaging, which hasn't been very good. By the way, that crisis PR firm also helped Washington, D.C. with its messaging during a certain pizza incident. And unwisely, the writers and actors decided to use the Star Trek franchise today to get their messaging out. Star Trek stars join the picket lines in Hollywood, and there we see George Takei, Mr. Day Rate Player himself, according to William Shatner, and Mr. Consequence Culture LeVar Burton. It's interesting they bring up Star Trek, the once storied franchise that was brought back and turned into repurposed garbage by Jar Jar Abrams and Alex Kurtzman, and when they accidentally made a good season of television with Terry Metalis' Picard Season 3, they decided to grab defeat out of the jaws of victory and follow it up with more garbage, making Kurtzman Trek one of the best examples of everything wrong with woke Hollywood.
What? Was it?
What the? So despite
was that really in an episode?
Hammering, it kind of seems that the producers are getting exactly what they want. Force majeure is in full effect. From NBC News, Warner Brothers suspends deals with Mindy Kaling, the creator of the wildly unsuccessful Velma, and Jar Jar Abrams, the destroyer of franchises. Shows are being canceled like Amazon's The Peripheral, despite getting a second season. Now, to be fair, the only reason it got a second season reason was they didn't want to piss off Chris Nolan's brother. And the disastrous Disney Plus is using this opportunity to delay, hopefully indefinitely, shows like Echo and Agatha, whatever the hell it's called now, because it's gone through 3 title changes. But not to worry,
Actually wanted
ladies
to
and
see
gentlemen,
Agatha,
we're
though.
still getting the Marvels in November. I said before this strike started, look for a lot of shows to be outright canceled or very quietly shelved indefinitely, and that's happening, and we've only just begun. As we have gone over extensively in my previous strike videos, Hollywood has finally been forced to look at some of the errors of their ways. Due to new technology, they are in the midst of a massive paradigm shift that they weren't ready for.
Every time the technology changes, there's a strike.
Yeah.
What I was saying, I think, the other day was that, that's the card you're dealt. The technology has changed. You can't turn back the hands of time, as Cher said. And of course, the problem with the streaming is that 2 of the biggest media companies now, Amazon and Apple, they don't care about this stuff. It's a side gig. It's just a flex to impress their girlfriends to have movie companies.
Bill Maher's an idiot, but he's right on this one. Streaming isn't going anywhere. You can't unmake the soup. And instead of being the great decentralization of Hollywood that it should have been, it's going to be the great contraction thanks to the strike. And thanks to a lot of government interference dating back to the 90s and the Clinton administration, it will only speed up the mergers, the consolidations, and be what the producers wanted this to be from the get-go. A purge. And all of this would have been hard enough to overcome for Hollywood, except for one thing that makes it 1,000 times worse. The culture war. Something the corporate media and the corporations will never mention. Not that they're not aware of it. No, au contraire. They're active participants. Social engineering, fortification, and forced behavior. Don't believe me?
You have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities, and we're going to have to force change.
That again was the head of BlackRock, who just so happens to own a sizable portion of stock in Apple, Disney, Google, Amazon, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount, I could go on. And let's not forget Vanguard's in there too, and somehow Vanguard owns more BlackRock stock in BlackRock than BlackRock. And this is happening all through the entertainment industry, all through mainstream media, all through big tech, and all through our entire society. That's why giant corporations who are supposed to be in competition with each other all have very similar messaging, and that's why so many of our favorite properties are being reimagined for a modern audience. Woke Hollywood doesn't want to admit they're part of the social engineering and trying to push things like compelled speech, like with this pronoun garbage that my good friend Az just went through. The entertainment industry as a whole, and particularly corporate woke Hollywood, also doesn't mention the culture war because they never thought they would lose it. The culture war, or the pop culture war, is far from over, and no one said it would ever be easy, but we are gaining the upper hand. We are starting to win because they didn't think we'd do something like talk to each other. Me and a lot of my co-hosts from FNT have traveled across the country this year to do meetups to talk to our fellow members of the audience, and currently I'm in the UK doing just that. And the one thing I hear the most was, I thought I was alone. And as I've always said, this has always been bigger than Star Wars or Star Trek or Lord of the Rings.
There's the drink
We all
up.
noticed the degradation of our culture, and we were all told we were crazy for noticing it. And we were vilified for speaking out against it. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not crazy and you're not alone. In the race to turn our escapism and our entertainment into a platform for influence, Hollywood ended up losing its relevance. Hollywood found out that they don't get to choose their audience, the audience chooses them. And people are sick of the ingratitude and the divisiveness, and they've gone from disappointed to angry, which are still forms of caring, to complete apathy. No one cares that you're on strike. It's the end of woke Hollywood as we know it, and we feel fine. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.
There we go, y'all. It's true, man. This is all burning down. What's funny is I don't see as much fighting online, especially like Twitter anymore, about all these particular types of politics. You don't see it as much anymore because, like, it's showing that the shift is huge. How people are turning on these companies, Bud Light, Target, etc., and all that, all the money all these companies are losing. They know. Anyway, post comments down below. Let me know what you all thought. If you enjoyed my reaction and thoughts on this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. 10 million subscribers. Woo!